Right, so now we talk about coolant, and we got lots of kinds of coolant. If you mix the wrong kinds together, you get messes and bad stuff. So it's very important to make sure that the coolant of the car you're working on is getting the right kind of coolant. Don't just use stuff that's just, you found in the garage. Make sure it's good for it. So if we talk about regular coolant, the green coolant that we've always seen, it's conventional ethylene glycol. Right? Over 50 years they've been using it. It's green, sodium silicates, phosphates, borates, all the stuff in them. However, the silicates dissolve impellers. And the phosphates leave deposits when mixed with water with minerals. So obviously it has shortcomings. And the next slide shows you what some of those things look like. From there, we came out with something new. Right, and this is what Dexcool is, right? Dexcool came out. Now, there's an interesting thing when you look at the history of Dexcool. Look into Evans Coolant. Evans Coolant is the people that developed Dexcool, and there's a whole history between that Dexcool and what it was really intended for. And it's an interesting story when you look at the relationship between the two. But anyway, let me go back 1 second. So ethylene glycol, regular stuff, is known as IAT, inorganic acid technology. Right? I like to say that it's IT. Right? So now we have regular ethylene glycol, green coolant, it's IT. Organic acid technology is the next generation of coolant, and that's known as OAT or OAT. So we got IT, we got OAT. This stuff is also ethylene glycol, but there's no silicates or phosphates in it. It's usually orange, and Dexcool's been around since 1996, and this is this type. Now, a lot of manufacturers have their own version of Dexcool, their own OAT coolant, so it's important to know, because you can't mix OAT with IAT. It turns into sludge and badness. Dexcool uses ethyl hexanoic acid, which is a corrosive inhibitor. However, it hurts plastics. Well, we have plastic tanks in our radiators, we got plastic expansion tanks, we got plastic parts in our thermostats and our water pumps, and so naturally, it's not the be-all product that works for everything. Xerex G30, Go5 OAT, Peak Global OAT, all of them are this type of stuff. Now notice the Peak Global OAT does not have ethyl hexanoic acid in it, right? No, that's not true. It does not have this 2EH component that hurts plastic, so it's a little bit better. Right? Now you got to be very careful when you see coolants, it's all makes and all models. All makes and all models equals most makes and most models. And if you use it in a car that doesn't want it, you got a big problem. Right? So be really careful when using stuff that says all makes, all models. Right? So here's what I mean. There's an impeller, and there it's gone. Right? That's cavitation. That is the dissolving of impellers. I have one of these in the classroom, so it took me a while to find it. Now, this is the tubes going through a radiator or a heater core, right? Same kind of thing. Look at what they look like when they're clear, and look at all the junk that's all over them. And I have one of these in that magic box too. So there's two circumstances that happen from the breakdown of coolants and stuff like that. All right, so we have IT, we have OAT. Now we got hybrid organic acid technology, or HOAT. So we got IT, OAT, and HOAT. This stuff is similar to organic acid technologies, but it's not abrasive to water pumps. It doesn't hurt water pumps. This is the bulk of this stuff, right? You have Volkswagen, Audi pink. You have Mercedes and Ford yellow. You have Ford yellow, Honda blue, European Kia blue, Asian red. It can be green, orange, yellow, gold, pink, red, or blue. A lot of times you have multiple kinds of coolant in your service facility because you can't put blue stuff mixed with yellow stuff, right? What do you get? It turns green. And you can't take your red stuff and put green stuff in it because it changes color too. You see this stuff in your plastic expansion tank, and if somebody with a Toyota always saw pink stuff in there and you change the color, they see that, and somebody else doesn't know what was done, and they tell them you put the wrong stuff in. Right? So we had AUTO, and HOT. Now we got phosphate hybrid organic acid technology, or FOAT. AUTO, HOT, and FOAT. Right? This is in Mazda-based Fords, 2008 up. It's known as the same as Mazda FL22. It's ethylene glycol. That's 55% coolant, 45% water. The boiling point is 270 degrees Fahrenheit when used with a 15-pound cap, and its protection is minus 47 degrees Fahrenheit. And this stuff is dark green, and it's embittered, so animals won't drink it, right? So the problem is, animals are attracted to the sweet smell of coolant, and they'll drink it. Bad stuff will happen. So this stuff is actually changed to be a little friendlier to them if they do end up drinking it. Now you'll see universal coolant is usually HOT, right? It's usually hybrid organic acid technology, and it can be used on lots, but not for engines needing silicate-free coolant. It's very important you have the right coolant. Now, if you look down below, pure water. We're not talking about water out of a tap. We're talking about water devoid of all the minerals and all that stuff that are in our water, right? Pure water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Pure antifreeze, and I don't mean the coolant that you're buying. The coolant you're buying has a ton of additives in it, so pure antifreeze. Right, you'll see down below, pure antifreeze is 95% ethylene glycol, 2 to 3% water, 2 to 3% additives. Pure antifreeze raises that freezing point or lowers it to 0, right? 0 degrees Fahrenheit. When we mix 50-50, we bring that to minus 34 degrees. And when we mix 70-30, minus 84 degrees. So you see that the mixture between these two is has a big effect on the freezing point of this stuff. Now, if we look at boiling points, right, pure water boils at 212 degrees. When we mix it with a 15-pound radiator cap, it rises to 257 degrees, right? What's the reason that you cover a pot when it's boiling? Right, the pressure kept within that holds that water down and doesn't let the bubbles form in it, so it doesn't boil. Therefore, a problem with your radiator cap could cause the car to boil over. Not necessarily overheat, but boil over, where you see it boiling into the overflow tank. Now, a 50-50 mix would normally boil at 218, but with that cap, 265. 70-30. 225 degrees, just regular boiling, and it raises to 276. So that cap is very important. If you ever look under your hood and you see the overflow bottle bubbling, but you don't see your gauge showing overheat, that is probably a problem with the cap, where it's not holding the pressure down.